Today's April 30th, 2025. Current Bitcoin price is $94,648.
Welcome to the BitBite podcast, your source for news and information about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. This podcast is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice.
How's it going, Rick?
Oh, doing all right. I mean, the Bitcoin price is going up a little bit, so you can't complain about that.
Yeah, we've seen a pretty nice little rally, I guess is the way to say it. Last time we recorded, we were at 88,502. And it looks like right now we're sitting at 94,648. So not a bad little gain in a week. That's been about a week that we recorded last, right? Yeah, about 9 days, I guess.
I mean, it's a lot better than last time, that's for sure.
Yeah. How are our theoreticals doing?
So first theoretical purchased back in October 2023, which is the prime place to purchase, or maybe September would have been a little bit better, but not too bad. And that purchase of $3,000 of Bitcoin would have netted you 0.0885 Bitcoin. And today at 94,648, that $3,000 is now 8,376, which is a pretty solid gain.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now, the second theoretical purchase was over a year ago. It was April 19th, 2024. So it's April 30th. And if you had to put $1,000 right at the halving, which is the date that this was purchased, you would have netted 0.01564 Bitcoin. And at today's price, it's worth $1,480. So, I mean, you're still doing pretty good. I mean, almost 50% increase. So,
yeah,
not shabby.
Not too shabby. I don't know if it was, I would be hoping for more maybe at this point. I think I've talked a little bit about this. I had a coworker in Canada that had bought, and they're still very untrusting about Bitcoin. And I was like, well, hold on to it at least until September, October timeframe. Like if you're looking to sell it, I'd wait till then. But I'm not a financial analyst. I'm just somebody who's been in the cycle a few times. And usually that's kind of when you're going to start to peter out. Right. But this is not like any cycle we've seen before.
No, this is the fourth cycle, and it is something else, in my opinion. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's a wild ride, and I'm here for all of it.
Looking at the ETF flows for Bitcoin too, we had the sea of red every time we looked at this chart, and the far side chart actually we're starting to see a lot more black. We had April 22nd and April 23rd, almost $1 billion on both those days flow into the ETF markets for Bitcoin. I think there's been a pretty big concern because, there was so many records that were broken by the Bitcoin ETF in 2024. And I think, we basically look at how there was so far in 2024, there was 35 billion that was purchased in Bitcoin ETFs. And so far for 2025, there's only been 3.7 billion. So, I mean, it's still positive, but not like what we saw in the previous year.
Yep.
But it's
granted, when the ETFs launched in that first few months, that's when the price of Bitcoin went insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It just went bananas. And that's where we kind of have rocketed up. We've seen some ups and downs, obviously. And I think our high 104 or 109,000.
109.
So right now we're kind of still below that. But the ETF flows, we are seeing some positive movement. It looks like today on the 30th, it looks like there was 323 million in outflows that have taken place. We still don't have BlackRock's numbers because they're always late. We always have to wait to actually get what their print is. But yeah, it's a much better looking chart. Not a sea of red is what we had seen before. So yeah, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think, obviously, I think last time we recorded, we were starting to talk about how Bitcoin was decoupling from its typical market. And it was kind of rising on its own. And then it was a few days later, that the stock market started to rise up on on the news that Trump was going to pause the tariffs again for a time frame.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say how things are going with that, but we did see that decouple for a little bit. It was giving me a little bit of hope. I think in the short-term future, it's going to still be linked, but eventually it's going to separate. And I think Bitcoin is going to be the new gold.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on that. And it's kind of crazy how this market has just fluctuated, and seeing that kind of that increase that kind of basically started, it looks like around April 20th. We started to see that rise shortly around that time. I mean, gold had hit its new all-time highs during that time. Gold is a little bit off from its all-time high right now. It's at $3,242 as of this recording. So I don't know. Markets are still kind of in turmoil all across the board. Stock market is a little bit green right now at the moment, but not by much. NASDAQ is at 0.13%. Dow Jones is up 0.35%. The VIX is actually up, which is typically our volatility index, right? So usually when that goes up, you don't see major gains in anything else.
Right.
A lot
if it
of
goes up too much, it'll dump every other thing.
Yeah, it'll cause all kinds of chaos in the markets. Tesla is our biggest loser right now that I'm looking at, and it's at it's down 3.38%. The rest of the market's slightly up, or if they are down, they're down by less than 1%. So, yeah, it's where do you think we're going? You think we're going up? You think we're going down? You think we're going to hold sideways for a while?
I think we're going to hold sideways a little bit, maybe even down. I think long-term things are going to go well. Granted that there's several caveats to that because some of this trade war stuff, I mean, I've been seeing reports that shipping is really down at all of our different ports from California to the East Coast. So it's hard to say. I mean, if store shelves start getting empty, everything's going to go down. When people realize it, assuming that this is correct, that the economy is going downhill, it's going to be a bad day for all the markets. It's going to be a bad day for Trump. It's just going to be rough all around.
Yeah, I agree. I think I know Trump is trying to, we see him talking about, getting a Ukraine-Russia peace deal kind of on the table and stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, what it's going to come down to is the economics as we get closer to midterms. That's going to be the biggest driver of whether or not he's going to end up having a lame duck presidency for the remaining 2 years of his presidency or not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, whether there's a peace deal in Ukraine or not, if the markets are down, if people can't buy goods or services, then I don't think any of the rest of that stuff's going to matter to the American people.
I agree.
I want to say, like, I'm seeing a lot of news saying that we're looking at, like, everybody's eyeing a pushback to 100,000 with Bitcoin. Most of the analysts are saying that, 95,500 is the current resistance level that Bitcoin needs to kind of break back through. And then if they can get through that, then, they're suspecting $120,000 Bitcoin price. But I don't know. There's a lot of news coming down Wall Street where major financial firms managing $10 trillion in assets, which include Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, and UBS, are expected to allow access to Bitcoin ETFs by the end of the year to their customers. So this would be just general customers. I don't think there's any requirements for these people to be able to purchase. So there could be a large influx of people wanting to at least add some Bitcoin to their accounts that way through the ETFs.
Yeah.
The return of the Bitcoin ETF investments has boosted trader confidence with bullish predictions for continued price growth through some caution that the short-term pullbacks to the mid-80s range remain possible. So they're still expecting the possibilities of pullbacks could happen. And I mean, obviously, we're still kind of waiting to see what's going to play out with the macroeconomic conditions around the world. So I don't know. And the other thing too, we've saw some negative news coming for GDP numbers for Q1, right?
I've heard that. Yes, rumors of it at least.
Yeah, it was hard to kind of spot anything. It looks like some of the current odds, they're saying that the interest rate cut have increased this week from 59.8% on April 29th to 63.8% on April 30th. So there was a pretty big kind of jump overnight as to the likelihood of an interest rate cut from the Fed. I think they were saying that the price indexes looks like it's actually risen a little bit higher than what they had planned. So again, we're still waiting on some more news to come out of that, but it could be a temporary sell-off with everything else that we see going on.
Yep. When is the next Fed meeting?
So it looks like it's in June.
June. So we still got a ways to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And we saw a sell-off this morning, and you were talking about that, like, because we were at 95,253, which is close to that resistance level, right? We saw a sell-off in Bitcoin down to 92,282, and then it kind of bounced back up, and it's kind of stuck in that range again. I don't know. That is a heavy resistance level right now. We're seeing a lot of that bouncing off that range. It looks like
that's a pretty big rejection from 95,500, right? Like,
yeah,
to 92,
and then to kind of recover back up. Yeah, it was a major wick down. Like that was a pretty big drawdown that took place. It looks like it's only been able to kind of briefly break above that level, but only briefly and not by any sustained amount, So, yeah, I mean, realistically right now, it's still, who knows? A recession, do you think it's going to happen? Yes or no?
Well, I think we're due for a recession here soon. It usually happens every 18 years, and it's 17 years since 2008.
Wow.
So, and it's not just exactly on every 18 years. It's 18 years plus or minus a year or two. So it could happen earlier. It could be delayed for another couple of years. It's hard to say. But I'd say yes, we're due for a recession.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'd be kind of interesting to see how Bitcoin handles that, right?
Well, this will be the first real recession. We'll consider the COVID shutdowns kind of an anomaly because that's probably the biggest suffering that Bitcoin has ever seen. But I don't know. It remains to be seen how they're going to handle the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I still kind of think back to that day when Bitcoin dropped down to $3,000 during that COVID crash. And I wondered, I was like, man, am I doing the right thing? Like, I think that's the closest I've ever been to questioning my conviction on Bitcoin. And I think I just basically went back to, well, if I didn't sell at 20,000 whenever, and I don't think it hit quite 20,000 at that point, but if I didn't sell
19.6 roughly.
Yeah, it was like 19.6 at that time, or from the previous cycle. I was like, well, if I didn't sell then, I'm not selling now. And just held on, and it's done well.
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to Bitcoin, you will see some things that make you question yourself. And if you hold on, the payoff is here. Because at $3,000, we're complaining about it being only 94,648.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes you kind of rethink, when you got really depressed and really scared, what came next?
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. That ended up going up with that rally of almost $69,000.
That's right. And then we saw the capitulation with the FTX crash. It got down to 15,000.
Yep.
And there was blood on the streets, and most people were running away from Bitcoin. But if you would have had the conviction to buy, I mean, you would have multiplied your money several times over if you would have bought at that point.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think, right now I've seen a few different posts, and I think we've kind of talked about this. I'm trying to do some purchasing right now, and I don't know what the best thing to do is. I'm just doing what I've always done. I'm just dollar cost average buying into it right now. And then I'm going to lose all on a fishing accident. It's going to be unfortunate.
So sad.
So sad. So sad. So sorry. But yeah, I mean, until we get some more news coming out of, CPI prints and those types of things, which we should have that coming up in a couple of weeks, it seems like everything's kind of quiet.
Yep.
We're supposed to be getting
the prices are up, but things are quiet.
Yeah, prices are up, things are quiet, but we are supposed to be getting some clarity on some of the Loomis bills and those types of things from the digital laws that they're trying to work on right now.
Yeah.
So
for the next episode, we need to go over the different states that have passed Bitcoin bills.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten anything that has gone through yet. A couple companies have started to actually go ahead and looks like they're going to take a page out of Michael Saylor's playbook. But even those, we'll pull those up. I think we'll pull those up and we'll pull up states, what's going on with the Bitcoin reserves there, and go from there.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else you wanted to add?
That's it for me.
The only thing I'm going to say is if you are buying, just be prepared that when you buy, what did you tell me the other day when I bought? When I was asking you?
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, Murphy's Law is going to rear his ugly head and show his face to you.
Yeah. So if you buy, what's going to happen?
It's going to go down.
It's going to go down. You'll be like, dang it. Why did
At least temporarily.
Yeah.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
I don't think we're on the long haul down.
No.
Granted, the people who bought in November 2021 and they bought it 69 nice K.
Yeah.
They had a long wait before they were positive again.
Yeah. For those that actually did stick it out, and props to those, like they definitely earned their stripes, because that was a hellish bull market, because we went from 69 down to, what did we say, 15?
15. Yep.
That was
FTX.
That was a rough bull market, or not bull market, bear market. So
bear market. But that's our saying, is if you buy Bitcoin, you really need to hold on to it 4 years before you're going to really see a profit, or you're guaranteed to see a profit.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So if you want to do self-custody, we do have on the deals page where you can get your Ledger or you can get your Ellipal wallet, and I need to update some links on there still. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you will get the self-custody checklist. And we should be dropping an episode where I did a collab with the Build a Mind podcast. So check that out whenever that gets released here pretty soon. So, and if you ever have questions about, running a node, or if you want to do your own hardware mining at home, I would recommend giving those guys a listen. So thank y'all for listening.
Bye.